Just 3 weeks ago, the New York Giants had the best record in football and were cruising towards the playoffs. But after 2 consecutive losses, the question is, are the Giants a championship contender who have stumbled, or were they never that good? Today, they search for the answers and try to stop the skid. The already playoff-bound Denver Broncos have some familiar faces, but recent years' weaknesses are this year's strengths. They now have a running attack, and this defense has fans thinking about the orange crush of old. One more victory clinches home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Mile High Stadium in Denver, the home of the Broncos, as the New York Giants visit the first meeting since Super Bowl number 21. Those are the standings in the Eastern Division. The Giants and Eagles tied atop. The Eagles have beaten the Giants twice, as I'm sure you know. In the West, the Denver Broncos have clinched the division title. They're fighting and playing today for the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The elements, the weather, obviously will be quite a factor. It started snowing last night, snowed all morning. Now, it's not coming down quite as hard as it was, but it's going to be tough playing conditions. I'm Pat Summerall here with John Madden. In talking with Giant coach Bill Parcells yesterday, I don't think since he's been coaching the Giants I've ever seen him with as frustrated an outlook. He just doesn't know what to expect of the team after these 2 tough losses.
Well, he says he really can't gauge his team now because they lost 2 tough games to the 49ers and the Eagles, very emotional games, and said, how are we going to be now? How much is that taken out of us physically and emotionally? Can we come back? And now I think one thing, Phil Simms needs confidence. I think that his confidence started to dip a little. He needs it. Now I know the way to get that confidence is with a running game, that makes his passing game better. In fact, if you look at this graphic here, you'll see when they run for over 100 yards, they're 9-0. If they go doink and they come up and they have less than 100 yards, they're 0-4. I think they have to be able to do that. Now, it's going to be tough today because they left 2 players home. They don't have their starting tackle, Jumbo Elliott, didn't make the trip, and their starting wide receiver, Odessa Turner. So that's going to be even more tough for Phil Simms in the offense. On the other side, Lawrence Taylor played a half last week with a broken ankle. They say they expected him to play more today. Then he woke up and he has back spasm today, and now they don't even know if you can play at all.
So we'll be watching that as the game progresses. Now on the Broncos side, Dan Reeves told us yesterday that he has to have his team playing well as they head into the playoffs. In addition to that, they are probably the healthiest team at the moment in the NFL.
Well, that's the thing that I think is so important, Pat, that what they do is the thing that got him, they have a better running game now and a better run defense. He said that's what got him here with this record, and that's what's going to get him through the game today against the Giants.
Ken Bell and Darren Carrington back to accept the kickoff from Bjorn Nitmo. Snow on the field, but not as much as there was earlier. They got most of it all as it stacked on top of the tarp. They had a tough time getting the tarps off the field so they could play. Ken Bell to his left. Stayed on his feet for an extra 5 yards. Greg Jackson made the hit that started him down. Elway starts at quarterback. For him, statistically, it hasn't been his best year, but he's still plenty good. Up front, Perry, Juriga, Karts, Wydell, Ken Lanier, Clarence Kay, the tight end. Bobby Humphrey has been a great help to this Bronco team. Melvin Bratton starts with him. Wide receivers, Johnson and Jackson, and that's Melvin Bratton. Very little. John Washington wrapped it up. Lawrence Taylor, John, is not in the lineup. Let's look at the defense then. Washington, Howard, and Marshall up front. Banks, Reasons, Pepper Johnson, and Johnny Cook starting in place of Taylor, the linebackers. And in the secondary, Collins, Williams, Kennard, and Guyton. Adrian White and Sheldon White come in when they use 6 defensive backs. Elway back to throw it. Screen pass early to Bratton. Not enough for a first down. Stopped by Mark Collins. A gain of 5.
Well, that must be the thing with Lawrence Taylor, Pat, is yesterday he was out here. He practiced. The Giants came in on Friday. They practiced here at Mile High yesterday. Lawrence Taylor was out there. They thought he would play more tonight. And I guess he had a back spasm overnight. Came out here, was out here a little while for the pregame warm-up, and then went back in.
3rd and 2. He just took a very little part of the warm-up and then went back. 82 yards. Bobby Humphrey, the ball carrier, did not make the first down. Those of you who were watching Atlanta, Minnesota, welcome to Mile High Stadium in Denver. The Vikings continue to win. They beat Atlanta 43-17. It's 0-0 here with 13:10 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden. It is a first down. Bobby Humphrey has added an element to this Denver offense that they haven't had in a long time. 2 tight ends. Johnson in motion. Humphrey again. 1 tough yard. Stopped in the hands of Leonard Marshall.
Yeah, we were talking to Bobby Humphrey yesterday. He said that when he came out in the supplemental draft, remember, he could have played for another year in college, and when he decided that he had broken his foot twice and decided he didn't want to take another chance in college, so he came out and he said maybe the first year he'd just make a little contribution, special teams play a little here and there. He didn't even dream that he would be a 1,000-yard runner.
Well, he's got 3 more games to get it. And here he is again. With a little room this time, and he's close to another Bronco first down. Stopped by Reasons.
Yeah, and that is the type of running that this Bronco team does so well. That delay stuff, that draw stuff. And Dan Reeves was saying that this, as a rookie, the guy has really learned how to read this stuff. You see, it's a delay. He waits. He lets the blocking develop. He lets things happen, finds his holes, then boom, hits right through it.
3rd and a yard. Broncos at their own 44-yard line. It's Breton stationing Humphrey behind him, and he gets the carrier again and gets another first down. Gary Reasons again on the stop with Terry Kennard. A gain of 4.
Melvin Bratton is the fullback. The Broncos are starting 2 rookies in their backfield. You see that? They lined up in 3 different backfield formations before they finally got in the eye, gave it to Humphrey, and he picked up the first down.
Melvin Bratton, another rookie in the backfield. Big, 225, and he can catch the ball. Vance Johnson and Mark Jackson both split wide to the right. Humphrey. Not much doing then. A gain of perhaps 2 or 3. Pepper Johnson and Johnny Cooks made the stop.
Yeah, this is what makes the Broncos such a different team. You always think of the Broncos as the John Elway team, and he had to do everything for him. And now with this Humphrey, we can see this whole thing. Everything goes to him, and that's taken a heck of a lot of pressure off Elway.
Well, they now run 65% of the time, and you can see the difference right there in their ranking in the NFL. Elway fakes the draw. Up into the pocket. Gets it out to Clarence Kay, and Kay gets near another Bronco first down. 8-yard pickup, Myron Guyton.
You hear those fans are cheering because Kay had came into this game and he hadn't caught a pass in 3 games. This is the first one in 4 games. He finally caught a pass. Dan Reeves says yesterday that there was no reason. Maybe they've been going to Mobley more, but he said today he thinks Kay is going to catch more balls.
1st and 10 Broncos at the Giant 41. Again, they go with 2 tight ends. Flag on the play as Elway fires intended for Mobley. Reasons got a hand on it.
And Mobley was the guy who jumped off sides. Last week against the Raiders, he jumped off sides and a touchdown was called back. Mobley said he didn't concentrate. I don't know, he didn't concentrate on here. You see him right there, 89? He starts to go before the ball snap. Boy, the fans are going to get on Mobley.
Foul, number 89, offense, first down.
Mobley's going to get on Mobley. The coaches are going to get on Mobley. That woman there's going to get on Mobley. That group of fans will get on Mobley. Because, you do it last week and touchdowns called back, and then boom, right in the first quarter, you do it again. There's no excuse for that.
First and 15. That's Mobley on the move. He goes about 260. Elway back about 9 yards deep. A screen to the center to Bobby Humphrey. And the Giants had it read perfectly. Gary Reason on the stop.
And you see how quickly John Elway released that ball. I mean, he just packs a gun on that right shoulder. I mean, he went back there and it was just a screen and a rush. And he went, boom, he zipped that thing right under there. This guy is an amazing quarterback. He's fun to watch.
A heck of an athlete.
I think he's one of the few quarterbacks in football that is a weightlifter. He lifts weights during the season.
Twice a week. And he said it's really helped him. That's Mobley again, the move man. They fake the draw play to Humphrey. Elway has all kinds of times. Tries to slide it in the middle. Knocked down by Mark Collins. Intended for Jackson. 0-0 at Mile High Stadium. The Giants in Denver. 8:19 left in the first quarter. We'd like to welcome those of you who watched Detroit. And the Lions coming on strong beat the Bears. And with their 6-8 record, Chicago is eliminated from any chance to getting into the playoffs. 3rd and 13 here at Mile High. Denver has had the ball since the outset. Steve Sewell in the backfield with Elway. Out of bounds. Ricky Nattiel couldn't keep the feet in bounds. Guyton and White.
The ball, you see it coming right there. Now he has possession. Now you have to have possession and both hands in. I mean, both feet in. Looked like that left foot was out. The first thing is possession. He got the ball. I guess both feet were out of bounds because the left foot was on the line.
Mike Horan back to punt for Denver, and Dave Meggett back deep for the Giants. Meggett watches it sail out of bounds, and the Giants will take over. First time they've had the ball, as Phil Simms will quarterback as usual. The last couple of weeks have been very frustrating for him. Up front, the offensive line makeshift in some ways. Moore moves to left tackle as Elliott was left home. Roberts, Oates, Brian Williams starts at right guard. Otis Anderson and Maurice Carthon, we think, will be the running backs. Manuel and Baker, the wide receiver. Otis had a tough week, but he gets the initial carry. Over the right side, Carl Mecklenburg is number 77. Carricker, Cragen, and Holmes up front in the Denver 3 set. Brooks, Dennison, Mecklenburg, and Simon Fletcher, the linebackers. Braxton and Henderson, the cornerbacks. Atwater and Smith, the safeties. Sometimes they play 7 defensive backs. Second down. Maurice Carthon. Out to the 30. A gain of 11 and a first down. Brooks made the stop. Look familiar on the sideline, John?
There's an old coach out of the past, Bum Phillips. Houston Oilers, New Orleans Saints. Bum's retired now. Of course, his son, Wade Phillips, is a defensive coordinator of these Broncos. There's Wade right there with the sunglasses under all that clothing.
That's Carthon again. And he's out near midfield. Tyrone Braxton finally wrestled him to the ground. 19 yards for Carthon. It's unusual to see him with the ball.
Well, and I think we're going to see more and more of Carthon in there today. In fact, Bill Parcells said we're going more back to more basics. We're going to play more two-back, which puts Maurice Carthon in there. We're going to give Carthon the ball. I think maybe they looked at their Super Bowl game against Denver and realized what they were doing then and want to get back to it.
Carthon again to midfield. Dennis Smith stopped him. For an NFL update, let's send you back to New York and Brent Musburger.
Pat, we've had a couple of upsets, none bigger, I guess, than up at Buffalo. Snow and cold, New Orleans out of the dome. This interception just moments ago. Now there's only 20 seconds left, and the Saints closing in on a 22-19 win. Let's go back to Pat and John.
Well, that's a hard team to figure out, those Saints. Here's Sims back in the pocket. Outside to Anderson. O.J. lunges close to another first down. A pickup of 8. Mecklenburg made the stop with Henderson.
See, that's a point that I'm making, that once you can get some running, he runs to Otis Anderson, then he goes to Maurice Carthon. Now that defense has to hang in there. They have to think run. They have to honor the run. Now it's a heck of a lot easier to pass. And Phil Simms will get more and more confidence. That's one thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed, he's not wearing gloves. And I think that Phil Simms without glove will be a lot better passer than with gloves.
One other thing, John, he's been bothered by a bad ankle for the past 3 weeks. And he did tell me before the game that this is the best it's felt in a month. In fact, he's not wearing a brace. He's only got a normal tape job.
You know, he didn't want to wear that ankle brace. He wore the ankle brace, then it started hurting his knee. So he threw away the ankle brace and played without that. And I think, as you said, he's been pretty beaten up. Hasn't had a lot of things going for him. But I still think the biggest thing is not having the running game.
3rd and about 6 inches. Carthon. I'd like to welcome those of you who watched Tampa Bay and Houston. The Oilers held on to win by 3 here in Denver at Mile High Stadium. Our score is 0-0 with 5:04 left to play in the first quarter. Giants with the ball with the Denver 40. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Carthon. Struggle for a yard. Mecklenburg again made the stop. Houston, with that victory, by the way, can win the division outright with victories in their final 2 games. Flag on that last play. It'll be against the Giants. Jerry Markbright.
Holding number 84, offense, first down.
Zeke Moat back to a first down. Final score between Green Bay and Kansas City, and that victory keeps Kansas City alive in the wild card picture. It also assures San Francisco of a spot in the playoffs. Now Green Bay needs to win the final 2 games and have the Vikings lose the final 2 in order for them to win the Central Division. Sims to throw it. Screen pass to Moat. Carthon, beg your pardon. 7-yard pickup. Cregan and Brooks on the stop for the Broncos.
I'll tell you, he had his blockers out there, and they just missed a block out there. I mean, it looked like it could have been a big play here. Watch the screen pass, they go fake. Now they go pass out here. Now watch out here. Brian Williams, number 59, he misses right there. If Williams gets that block, they pick another 5, 6, 7, 8 yards.
2nd and 13. Manuel is the move man this time, and Sims is back to throw it. Another screen pass to Carthon. Same play. Ball was down. It came loose after the hit by Dennis Smith. Stephen Baker got it, I believe, before it went out of bounds.
Watch 59, Pat. Brian Williams, he gets the block this time, and that makes a difference in the play. Watch him, see right there, boom! He gets that block, takes him down. Now Carthon can get that 5, 6, 7, 8 yards I'm talking about. Plus he fumbles and Stephen Baker picks it up.
But they said he was down. So it'll bring up a 3rd and 4, 5 perhaps. At the Bronco 35. No score yet. Sims chased out of the pocket by Mecklenburg, and Holmes gets it to Baker. He goes out of bounds. First down. First down, Giants. 0-0 the score. We're in the first quarter, 2:42 left. And we'd like to welcome those of you who saw that upset victory by the Saints over Buffalo, 22-19. We're at Mile High Stadium in Denver. First down, Giants at the Denver 24. Those yard lines are getting more and more difficult to read.
Yeah, this is football when you can't see any yard lines. You're going to have mud and stuff on the guys' jerseys. This is what it's all about.
Anderson hops to the outside. Wrapped up by Rick Dennison. Gain of only a yard. Been a tough week for O.J. He had a groin injury last week against the Eagles, and on Wednesday he had an operation, hemorrhoid operation. And there was some doubt about whether or not he'd be able to play.
Well, he missed most of the practice during the week, and Bill Parcells said yesterday that he'll be able to start. He doesn't know how long he'll be able to go, so we may see some more Lewis Tillman.
2nd and 10 right now. Roussan is in the position at what is normally called H-back. Anderson barreling straight ahead, stopped by Brooks. Somebody lost a hat. The man who made the tackle, Brooks.
Yeah, that thing on under there, it's probably slid the old hat right off the head. See, that's okay. The only time you worry about that if your head's in it. But once that thing goes flying there, then you just pick it up and put it back on. See, as long as you hit there and your head stays in your shoulders, then you're okay.
This drive, 11 plays, 68 yards. The Giants have kept the ball 6 minutes, 15 seconds. 3rd and 5, and Anderson picked up 5. It'll be close to another first down.
Yeah, this is the Giants that we know and we've seen when they were getting their winning record. And I think even Bill Parcells said maybe the thing that hurt them, they went into San Francisco and opened up a little. Then they opened up a little, and then they got turnovers. And then pretty soon you're trying to figure ways to get Meggett in. You're doing all these things, and you forget your basic, solid, old run offense, run defense.
Lewis Tillman is now the deep back for the Giants. Anderson is out. Tillman gets the call. Hit by Andre Townsend and gets very little, a yard. Well, Bill Parcells was saying when we went to San Francisco, they were going to get some points, and maybe we changed our philosophy. Maybe we had to sort of copy them.
Yeah, and then what happens, he said, maybe that's right, and maybe it's wrong, because when you do that, you also have more turnovers. And the thing that have killed the Giants is the two things, not being able to run and having turnovers.
That's the end of the first quarter. The score is 0-0. And now let's get you up to date on the scores from around the rest of the league. Philadelphia and Dallas still playing in the Bounty Bowl game. 2 minutes left. The Eagles leading 20-10. Minnesota overwhelmed Atlanta. Kansas City beat Green Bay in Green Bay 21-3. Detroit by 10 over the Bears, eliminating the Bears from playoffs. Houston 20-17 over Tampa Bay. Seattle leading Cincinnati 24-17, fourth quarter. Pittsburgh 13, the Jets nothing. That's the final. Pittsburgh still alive for a wild card spot. New Orleans upset Buffalo. Washington has defeated San Diego after being down 14-0. They're still alive. Phoenix and the Raiders just underway. Indianapolis leading Cleveland 7-0. They've become something of a mystery.
I think it was interesting talking to John Elway yesterday, and we're talking about playoffs and those things, and he said, you know, the team that he thinks is the best team in the AFC or could give him the biggest problem are the Kansas City Chiefs.
You saw the story of this drive as we begin the second quarter. Washington, by the way, still keeps their playoff hopes alive. But they need help from this team, the Giants, and the Eagles if they're going to make it. But they have turned things around at RFK Stadium.
You know, this used to always be the toughest place, Pat, right here all the years we played against the Broncos, is down here going into those south stands. Those people in those south stands, they were wild, man. And when you had to get down there going in to score in this end, it was darn near impossible.
Manuel in motion. Sims back to throw it with a lot of time. Gets it to Adams up the middle. He gets to about the 3. Atwater made the stop along with Dennison. Picked up 10 yards.
But you see the protection that Sims is getting? Watch this. This is what he has to have, and I think the running game gave him that. Look at the difference here between that and last week when the Eagles were just collapsing on him. There he went back there, time, and he could find George Adams. That's a name we haven't seen in a while on this Giant team.
And it gives him first and goal at the 3. Anderson and Maurice Carthon. Time sends, and Anderson gets the call, the carry, and his 11th touchdown of the year.
A drive where the Giants looked like they did the year they went to the Super Bowl. And this looked like the Bronco defense the year they went to the Super Bowl. Just old-fashioned getting on the line and whipping them, running the ball, moving the ball all the way down the field. That was a great drive.
And a good block by Bob Cratch. Helped Anderson get in. Nitmo hits the extra point with Hostetler holding. Anderson's touchdown, a flag on the extra point. 15 plays, 85 yards. They kept the ball 8 minutes and 53 seconds.
And that was...
Defense lined up in the neutral zone will enforce 5 yards on the kickoff. The point is good.
Here's the touchdown again.
Yeah, I formation again, 2 backs in there. Maurice Carthon, he gets the block right there. Number 61, Cratch gets the block right there, and that clears the hole for O.J. Anderson. And I think I think they learned that maybe keeping Carthon in there helps his team too.
It also helps if you keep the ball almost 9 minutes. Not only does the other team's offense stay off of the field, your defense gets less playing time.
There on the left there, that's Earl Leggett. Used to coach the Raiders defensive line. Now with the Broncos, he's showing his linemen their run blocking. See, that's what he'll do. He'll get them over there, and he'll show them the run plays that were successful against him and how they were blocking them. Then he'll go to the plan B of that, which is their adjustment to it. Like on the Giants side over there, all they're going to do is get warm, huh?
Well, as the day progresses, that's going to be a more difficult task because it's supposed to drop throughout the day. Nitmo. Line drive kickoff is fielded by Darren Carrington. And he spins it out to about the 26. Dwayne Giles made the stop, a flag on the play.
Dwayne Giles.
I see that one of the Giants going off saying that he was held or pushed from behind, so I'm sure that's going to be against the Broncos and put them in the hole. I think it was against Adrian White. He was the guy that was pointing.
Number 58 on the return, first down.
So Denver will start back near their end zone. Let's see if we can see it.
You see it right there. That's blocking from behind. Although I don't know, that's pretty close there, because again the official has to see where you start.
Phil Simms quickly to the telephone.
Hey, he looks like a different guy this week than he did against the Eagles. And there's nothing that gives a quarterback more confidence, I've always said, than a running game.
Jackson goes in motion. That's Humphrey. Buried. First by Eric Howard, a pickup of 2. That's a final score, Seattle over Cincinnati. And that keeps Seattle's slim chances of a wild card playoff spot alive. Cincinnati is going to have a tough task. Houston has already won. To wait and see what happens to Cleveland. 2nd and 8. Elway again to Humphrey. Out of bounds at about the 14. Pickup of 6. Guyton got him out of bounds.
Jim Juriga, the left guard of the Broncos, made a nice block there in the corner. That was a block that sprung Humphrey to the outside. 166, the left guard. See, the back wants to just get out there with him. Now right there, boom, he just knocks the corner down. Then that gives Humphrey the corner to get around. Boy, you love those guards when they'll get out there and knock down a corner for you.
That brings up 3rd and 2, and the Broncos go with 4 wide receivers. But they give it to Humphrey. Close to a first down. We'd like to welcome those of you who watched Dallas and Philadelphia. And the Eagles win, improves their record to 10-4. The Giants lead this one 7-0 and now need to win to stay even with the Eagles. They lead 7-0 at Mile High Stadium. The Eagles, by the way, need to win their last 2 games to win the division title outright, regardless of what happens to the Giants.
This is a big decision here for Dan Reeves. I know that you're backed up, you're inside, you have to punt the ball, but you only have inches to go, and it's really tough to send in your punt team. But that was just a matter of measurement there. And Dan Reeves did what he had to. There's no way you can go for it. But on the other hand, you say, geez, I only need a ½ an inch for the first down.
You only say that a couple of times, and then you do what you're supposed to do.
I think, yeah, and you tend to say it more when you're up here than when you're down there.
Horan is back to kick for Denver. Meggett back deep for the Giants. Good kick. Meggett signal fair catch at the last second, lost it. A 47-yard punt by Horan. Flag on the play. Back at the original line of scrimmage.
And both sides saw it, so it has to be against the punting team. And that's probably for someone leaving before the ball was kicked. Of course, if it were against the receiving game of the Giants, it would be a first down for the Broncos. Say it's against the Broncos.
The Bronco punting team is still there.
Man downfield on the kick, number 97, Denver, 4th down again.
You'll see right here, it's going to be movement right in the middle going before the ball's kicked. Now see, now they have to wait, and you see right there, and they're downfield there, and that was the one that they called them on.
They called number 97, Bruce Klosterman, for getting downfield too early. He was right next to number 25.
I think it was Corrington who was out in front of him.
It looked like both of them were. Another good kick. This one he ought to be able to handle, though. Four hang time on the punt. Kip Corrington down to make the stop. So with 12:28 left to play in the first half here at Mile High Stadium, it's 7-0 Giants. Snowy Mile High Stadium at snowy Denver. A lot of Santa Clauses around today. A lot of them with some heavy beards too, with ice and snow. Score, the only one by the Giants to take a 7-0 lead, was from 3 yards out by Otis Anderson. Giants kept the ball almost 9 minutes in their drive. That's Anderson, and he's dragged down by Brooks. That first drive, the surprise, I guess, of the whole thing would be the yardage by Carthon.
Well, I think the fact that Carthon was in there with Anderson, it was the old Giant offense. 2 backs, a regular fullback who's a blocker, and you hand him the ball once in a while, and a tailback. But the other thing is the Giant offensive line handled the Bronco defense.
Oh, here's Carthon again. Brooks made the stop. For the benefit of those of you who just joined us, it snowed all night and has been snowing all day in Denver.
I remembered one time, Pat, we came up here when I was first a head coach, and the Oakland Raiders, and George Blanda was my quarterback, and it was snowing like this, and I said, boy, we're not going to be able to pass today. And George Blanda told me, baloney. He said, this is the best weather to pass in because it calms down the pass rush, and the defensive backs have a tough time covering.
Sims back in the shotgun, has Meggett with him. And the Broncos go with 7 defensive backs. Mark Ingram. He's out of bounds at about the 35. Wayman Henderson knocked him out.
I'll tell you, if there's anything that we've seen so far is that the receivers are able to get open. You watch now in the snow, when a field is slippery, the offense has the advantage because they know where they're going. And I think that's a good example of it right here with Mark Ingram. I think the other thing is the pass protection. Watch the time that Phil Simms has. He even gets a good block there by David Meggett, who picks up the safety blitz.
1st and 10 Giants at the Denver 35. Anderson hit right at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
We talk about the safety blitz. Look at that number 27, Steve Atwater. He's a safety, but he's the size of a defensive tackle. This guy has probably added more to this Bronco defense than anyone. He was their #1 draft choice this year, and I know Dan Reeves thought, of all the things that we've done, this is one of the better things we've done, is drafted him because he's not only a good player, but a good leader.
And a great big guy, as you said. Sims is 6 out of 6. Fakes to Anderson. I don't see any flags yet.
Dan Reeves is saying the only guy he could have thrown to was his right tackle, Doug Riesenberg. There was no Giant receiver in that area.
It was Carricker and Holmes who put the heat on.
Even Santa Claus says, hey, you can't throw to a tackle.
Got some guys excited.
You think the guy's satisfied because he's clinched his division? No way.
Dave Meggett. Back with Sims. Sims is now saying, I can't hear.
He was in the shotgun and he couldn't hear, so then he went up to get under center, and now he's taking a timeout.
So that'll mean they have 2 left. 7-0 Giants. During the timeout, well, you can see they cleaned off the yard line markers and the sideline. I don't know how long that's going to last.
Well, the interesting thing, Matt, they cleaned up where they're already been, not where they're going. If you're going to clean up, you ought to clean up where you're going. All those lines were cleaned behind the Giants.
Maybe they're afraid of the players.
No, you got to go out there in the elements. All clean. The only way they're going to go that way is if the Broncos pick off something and run it back that way.
3rd and 10. Protection breaks down. Alfonso Carricker takes Sims to the snowy turf.
Alfonso Carricker comes from the left side here. He's going to be right here. He's working right on that side there. And you'll see again, he's working against the rookie, Brian Williams. Williams had trouble last week against the Eagles. In fact, that same move Mike Pitts made against him last week. Just that right arm up under.
Landetta to punt from his own 43-yard line. Vance Johnson back deep for Denver. Fair catch. At about the 14 or 15-yard line where the Broncos will take over. 28-yard punt by Landetta. 7-0 Giants, 9:37 left in the first half. That's the Bronco bench. On the other side, that's Lawrence Taylor. He had, as you know, and tried to play last week against Philadelphia, the game with a broken ankle. That got a little bit better. They expected him to play all day today, but he woke up this morning with back spasms. So he hasn't played at all. Elway on the draw play to Humphrey. Humphrey could be gone. Mark Collins saved the touchdown. A flag on the play back at the line of scrimmage. And it's got to be against the Broncos.
You're going to get plays like this, but your safety has to make the tackle. What Terry Kennard misses the tackle. Good blocking up front. Now he breaks free. You have to make that tackle there. That was either a good move by Humphrey or it was a pitiful tackle by Kennard. But anyway, it's going to be brought back.
Number 60, offense. First down.
50-yard run brought back. All against Gerald Perry.
I'll tell you that Humphrey can pop through a hole. Watch on the left part of the picture here. You see Perry, number 60, holding Leonard Marshall. See him? He has his left arm on there, and he kept it outside his frame. But boy, can that Humphrey pop through a hole?
And he ever, as you were saying yesterday, you can just tell a great back. He may not get all that much yardage, which he did, of course, then, but you can tell how he hits a hole, how he sees the defense. Sammy Winder is replacement. Elway. Incomplete. Myron Guyton made the hit on Ricky Nattiel.
And there's a flag on the play. Ricky Nattiel's going to have that Elway cross on him.
Tell you what, he does fire it, doesn't
that
he?
Ball was zipped in there. That'll leave a tattoo right on your chest.
Number 29, defense, automatic first down.
What Myron Guyton said was that the ball was tipped. So I don't know what difference that would make. The ball was tipped. Now he said he could go for it. Now watch Guyton. His left hand gets in there. I don't know. Looks like he got there just a little early. That was kind of touchy. I don't know that you have to call those. If a defender can't do that, he can't play in this league. I think that Myron Guyton made a pretty good play on a great pass by John Elway. I think the ball is tipped right here by Gary Reasons. Look at that, it just went right through it. And that ball was thrown so hard that even by tipping it still got there with velocity.
It's a wonder Reasons has any fingers.
Giants are arguing if the ball's tipped, then you can't be interference. Because I still think that's pretty good defense. I don't know what. And you just can't let the guy catch your ball. You got to cover him. See, if the ball is tipped, let's see if we can see it. It's going to be number 55. Now, if the ball is tipped, if Reasons tips the ball, now there can be contact. Now it's all right. There is no interference. You can have contact. But I don't even know if that was interference or not. But now what they're reviewing, I think, is to see if it were tipped or not. Again, if anyone tipped it, it's 55 right there, Gary Reasons.
Well, the trajectory of the ball, the spin of the ball wasn't wobbling until it got to Reasons.
I think the ball was tipped. Because as you say, it changed directions when it went there. I mean, it was going on a tight spiral, and then it changed to a wobble.
And they're going to bring this one back, I'm pretty sure.
It was determined that number 55 defense tipped the pass. There was no pass interference. Second down.
It's not popular here, but that's the call.
The old inside linebacker, Gary Reasons, just getting enough read on it. But you see, it's a pretty tight spiral going in. Now watch it coming out. See how the thing starts to turn? I think he had a basis decision on that.
Second and 18. Humphrey slipped down. It was going to be the old counter gap play, but Humphrey, when he tried to fake, lost his footing, and Elway kept it.
Right back, Bobby Humphrey, that's his favorite play. Here in Denver, they call it OT. T being the tackle, O being the off-guard pulling. And the back has to make that step and then get in there behind the offside. Humphrey went to make it and just fell down, so Elway had to keep the ball.
That makes it 3rd and 12. Broncos have the ball deep in their own territory at their 13-yard line. Their 4 wide receiver package. Michael Young is wide to the left. Elway to Natil. And it's incomplete as he too slipped over close to the sideline. Sheldon White was the Giant defender.
Ricky Natil is just coming on. You know, he had a serious knee injury. He had a cracked kneecap. You see there, he was trying to hold up to keep both feet in bounds. It was tough to see the sideline anyway, but as he tried to hold up to keep both feet in bounds, he just slipped right out of bounds.
4th and 12. The footing out in the middle of the field is pretty good. Close to the sideline where the water ran off the tarp. It's tough. Moran's kick fielded by Meggett. Good return by Meggett. 49-yard kick, a 22-yard return. Darren Carrington tripped up Meggett. But the Giants have it in good shape with 8.5 minutes left to play in the first half. Touchback!
I think one of the toughest jobs in football is a punt returner. Well, you got 11 guys bearing down on you, that's tough. But when you have snowflakes coming in your eyes, the ball getting there, and guys coming, and you catch the ball like that and make a return like that, that is a pressure play by David Meggett.
And he's had some problems. It's like he solved them. That's Maurice Carthon, left side for a yard.
I think it's interesting what the Giants have to do. We talked about Jumbo Elliott being out. So now they had to move Eric Moore over there, number 60. He's playing left tackle. William Roberts, Oates. Now Brian Williams, number 59, is playing the right guard, and Doug Riesenberg at right tackle.
2nd and 9. Sims fakes the Carcon. Flag down on the play, and the pass is incomplete. He just threw it away. Right at the line of scrimmage, the penalty marker. I think it's got to be tripping.
Tripping foul on number 65, offense. 2nd down.
Tripping against Bart Oates.
That's Bart Oates. See him right there in the middle. Now again, he's blocking against Greg Cragen, one of the better nose tackles in the league. See, when he gets beat there, he turns and leg whips him. Now, we see that more and more in this league. You don't see it called that often. But there are 2 ways to block. You can block a guy in front of you. Then if he gets by you, you can whip your legs and you have another shot at him.
That's been illegal for a long, long time. Meggett's in the backfield with Sim. Chased by Holmes and down by Holmes. Of 12.
I'll tell you, Ron Holmes comes through here like he is shot. He has 7 sacks coming into this game in 7 games. It looks like William Roberts works to the outside, and no one blocks Holmes. Holmes lined up over Roberts. Roberts slid out, and Holmes went right up the hole with no one blocking him.
Face of Lawrence Taylor. All he can do is watch. They try to run a screen pass to Meggett. He juggled it and finally caught it. And he's still going. Meggett could be gone. On 3rd and 31. Touchdown and no flags anywhere. 57 yards by Meggett.
Great run and a great catch, Pat, but I'll tell you, there was a heck of a block by William Roberts out there. The block that springs him is the left guard, number 66, William Roberts. Watch him here. Meggett makes a heck of a catch, but watch 66 come and make the block on Mecklenburg right there. That's the one that broke him. Now Meggett makes some moves and some big plays on his own. The one guy Dan Reeves was worried about, he told us yesterday, we have to contain David Meggett.
For the extra point, and it's good. 14-0. The Giants lead the Broncos. Here it is again.
Hey, you got to get those big linemen out in front of those little backs, and there's a big lineman out in front of a little back. When he knocks a guy down, Meggett does the rest.
That's a heck of a run. 14-0 Giants.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Honda, who invite you to test drive a new Accord. You have to drive it to believe it. Nikon, we take the world's greatest pictures. And by Miller Lite, America's favorite light beer, brings you the Miller Lite All-Star Super Bowl.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. 57 yards. How about a 36-yard drive, but a 57-yard touchdown? A screen pass from Sims to Meggett.
Yeah, if I remember, Sims had the loss because he took the sack from Ron Holmes when William Roberts blocked out, let Holmes come by. Then Roberts was the guy who made the block on Meggett's screen.
I guess that gets him even. Nitmo has cleared a track so he can kick off.
Looks like he cleared an X out there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to go the other way, too.
The kick is going to go to Ken Bell. Fell down at about the 23 by Greg Jackson. 14-0 Giants in snowy Denver. John Elway will lead his offensive unit back on the field. Dan Reeves. The crowd had just started to get into the game when the Giants sprung that big screen pass play. They were just starting to really get enthusiastic. 7:02 left in the first half. With the playoffs approaching, here's the situation. The 49ers clinched the playoff spot today. The Saints and the Bears were eliminated. The magic number for the Vikings is 1. 1 victory for the NFC Central title. Denver can clinch a home field advantage with a win today, and in the meantime 12 other teams remain alive. So first down Denver, their own 23. Elway. Vance Johnson. Got past Mark Collins. 42-yard pickup.
That's Vance Johnson on the outside. Collins is going to be up there to bump him. See, and then he's going to ride him, and the safety's going to get over. Now the safety gets turned around. That's Kennard. He gets turned around, and then Vance Johnson gets behind, and it's a perfect throw by John Elway.
First and 10. At the Giant 35. Mobley was the move man. They give it to Humphrey. And there's nothing there. Leonard Marshall. 2-yard gain for Humphrey.
Big Leonard Marshall. These are the kind of guys, games a guy like Marshall likes. You're out there, they have to run at you. They're coming there, you got the snow, you don't wear a shirt underneath, you got the bare arms hanging out there, showing those guys your guns and stuff. They like these kind of games. Linemen do. The guys that don't like them, the skinny little old guys, they just about fall apart. Big old guys, they like this kind of level.
Second and 9. Just barely does get rid of it. And now the Giants, of course, are saying he intentionally grounded. They might say he was in the grasp.
Watch Leonard Marshall here on Gerald Perry. Number 60 here. He does a nice job. He gets in, gets his hands, gets that one, then he just starts pushing him right back into Elway. Then he makes a dive at Elway right there. Now he had him in the grasp just as he was getting ready to throw it. Big Leonard, he came alive there. He made the tackle on the run, then he makes a big pass rush.
Leonard's having a tremendous year. They go with 3 down linemen at Elway. To Vance Johnson. Stopped by Collins.
You see John Elway just get back there and zip that thing into Vance Johnson.
12-yard pickup. 4th and about 5. And it looks like they're going to go for it. Ball's at the 30-yard line.
He's going to have to go back and zip another one in there because they're not in running range for a first down.
Steve Sewell is back there with Elway. Starts Young in motion and now sends him back where he came from. Intended for Mark Jackson. That's just too hard.
The one thing John Elway was saying yesterday that he likes about this new defense is that they're always in the game, that they don't have to play from behind. And the thing that the Giants have done so far is play excellent defense, not give them any plays, but put 14 points on the board.
And that's the score. They lead by 14.
Of DePaul, the Tar Heels of North Carolina, the season premiere of college basketball on CBS Sports next Saturday.
Trying to protect the pigskin, keep it warm and keep it dry. The heck with your hands.
Well, that's the thing. That's the umpire there. That's his job, is to keep the ball dry. That's umpire Al Conway. But if the ball is dry, then the weather doesn't bother you.
Not much there for Otis Anderson. That's what Elway was saying to us yesterday. That the toughest weather conditions was not this, not the snow on the field and coming down. It was rain.
Yeah, when the ball gets wet, when you can't handle the ball the way you normally do. Dan Reeves was probably thinking yesterday, after practice, he went out and played golf. He played 9 holes with Bum Phillips. I don't think he thought he was going to see this kind of weather or this kind of score a day later.
Not much golf on a day like this. Anderson again. Hit hard by Cregan and Alfonso Carricker.
That's the way a nose tackle has to squeeze a one, the way Greg Cregan does. So he's going to come hit down the line, Carricker, boom, here, and squeeze the run right between those two guys. Watch Cregan hit into Oates, come around behind right down the line. Now there's no cutback. He starts to cut back. Boom, there's Cregan. Boom, there's Carricker.
3rd and 8. Giant ball at their own 32. Draw play to Meggett. Not enough for the first down. Play we've seen them run for years. 8-yard gain stopped by Atwater.
You're talking about Meggett. Dan Reeves was saying he had David Meggett in the Senior Bowl. Coached him. Meggett was the MVP in the Super Bowl. Reeves wanted to draft him, but the Giants got him first.
This is a timeout, Giants, with 2:40 left to play in the first half. Back at Mile High Stadium. Giants will punt. That was a Denver timeout, not a Giant timeout. So now they have 2 remaining and 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Vance Johnson is back deep. Sean Landeta back to punt for the Giants. A short snap to Gary Reasons. A pickup of 3, and that's enough for the first down.
I tell you, Bill Parcells has thrown it out. That was an organized fake punt. In fact, they have a word for that. I don't know if that's Bummerooski or what one that is, but watch. Landeta, the punter, he jumps like he's catching the ball, but the ball's just snapped directly to Gary Reasons. The nose tackle takes off to the left. He gets a good block there, and Reasons just runs it straight up the middle. Look at that. When you get an old linebacker and he gets a first down like that, I'll guarantee you that'll put more smiles on his face than any tackles or interceptions.
$14-0 Giants. Watch what the punter does, who doesn't punt.
Yeah, well, this is the way the punter fakes on a fake punt. He does one of those, what do you call them, pirouettes. He doesn't even look. And he'll go pat himself in the back and say, "What, you see me fake on that one, Coach? I did good, huh?"
I was partly responsible.
There's Bum Phillips. He used to have a play called Bummerooski.
There's Sims going to work. Intended for Roussan, who dropped it and was hammered.
That was great coverage by Mecklenburg. You see a big guy like that, Carl Mecklenburg.
Has a penalty marker down on the play.
With Mecklenburg, he plays against the run. He rushes the passer. He's all over the field. Then he gets 30 yards back there and knocks one down.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, number 49.
That's Dennis Smith. And he did
Automatic first down.
issue a lick to Roussan.
But there you see the ball is already out. The ball is already knocked down. And Dennis Smith comes across and hits Roussan. But the guy there, 77, made a heck of a play, Carl Mecklenburg.
So the Giants will take over now at the Denver 44. Rusan are the two running backs. Maurice Carthon near a Giant first down, stopped again by Mecklenburg. A gain of 9.
See, this is Phil Simms' kind of game. 1, you got the lead. You're not playing uphill. 2, you got some running going. So therefore, 3, you can do what he just did on that play. Throw on first down with a play fake.
And unlike what happened against Philadelphia last week, he has now some timeouts to work with. 2nd and 1. Carthon will have the first down. Ron Holmes stopped Carthon after he picked up 3.
The other thing Maurice Carthon puts in a team, it's not, he's not going to gain a lot of yardage, catch a lot of passes, but he brings another tough guy in your lineup. He brings another guy who will knock someone down in there for you. And, that doesn't always show up in statistics.
In the great Joe Morris years, Carthon was largely responsible. Rusan in motion. Simms. It was to Rusan. He was open. Maybe that hit a moment ago on Smith when he got the penalty was still in Rusan's mind.
I'll tell you, Simms was lucky he got that one away. You see Michael Brooks comes from his left side. O.J. Anderson misses him. And Simms throws a perfect pass to Lee Rusan, and right between the twos, and it just goes right through him. We do have elements out there, but when a pass is thrown like that, you have to catch it.
2nd and 10 from the 32. The Bronco 32. Carthon, draw play, stopped by Holmes behind the line of scrimmage. Loss of 3.
The Broncos got Ron Holmes in a trade from Tampa Bay. Dan Reeves said he has problems down there and said he really didn't like playing it, but he's happy here in Denver, and he sure plays like a different guy.
It's a Giant timeout with 31 seconds remaining in the first half.
Hey, watch this one again. Here's what coaches do. Here's Holmes, here's Roberts. Now what happens is you're going to see Roberts extends. You see, he gets his nose up over his toes. When you get your nose up over your toes, you get your head down, and you have no chance. You see, when he extends, boom, now Holmes is right by him. Now when he tries to come back, it's too late, and he has to knock Holmes right into Carthon. But that's what you call overextension by an offensive lineman.
3rd and 13 at the Bronco 35. 31 seconds remaining first half. Oates calls Simms up under center. Couldn't hear him. Pick up a 5. 5 Phil.
I think the Giants are going to wait. That was an ugly play. I don't know if that was a quarterback draw or not. Now Simms is going to stand right next to the referee. They have one more timeout. He's going to stand right next to him, let the clock run down, and then kick the field goal. They send in Jeff Hostetler to take the timeout.
In any case, they got it done with a second remaining. Hostetler is the holder for the kicker, Bjorn Nittmo. Line of scrimmage was at 35. This will be about 42 yards.
I wonder if Nittmo's ever kicked in this kind of weather. He doesn't look like it. He looks like, got those gloves on, he looks like a guy in another sport or something.
I bet he's got a two-handed backhand.
He looks like a tennis player. We'll see, the weather, you got the snow, you got that, but you do have this altitude here. And if there's any place that kickers like to kick, it's in Mile High Stadium.
Looks like about 42 yards. Make it 47. Hostetler gave it a little spin. It distance, but didn't get there. That's the end of the first half with the score. The Giants 14, Broncos nothing.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics toyland. Allstate, for home, auto, and life insurance. You're in good hands with Allstate. And by Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? AT&T, the right choice. And by Tox, the premium champagne.
Back at snowy Mile High Stadium. The snow continues. All last night and all this morning and still coming down. Checking out the two quarterbacks. The Giants lead at 14-0. Sims 8 out of 11. 131 yards, 1 touchdown, a 57-yarder to Meggett. Elway 5 out of 10 for just 69. So Sims certainly has the edge, at least in the first half.
Well, I think the fact that he's not wearing those gloves, I think that helped.